Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending what time you're watching this next episode from me, Avomance. And today we're going to do something a little bit themey. Now, as I record this, it is nearly Halloween. So we are going to be doing a Halloween themed build in this blooming great big wall behind me. It's going to be a bit of a freestyle job. I'm going to do it kind of as I go, and we're going to see whether or not it turns out into a complete mess or something that's worth having. But I think, hopefully, we can do something that looks pretty cool in that big old wall. And it's going to be Halloween-y, and I'm going to do it right now. So before we do anything, I want to try and make this area just a little bit more appropriate for building. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this dangling great big long rod thing, because that's not good. That's not going to work on my build whatsoever. We want to try and not smooth it all out, but there are going to be some areas that I think that we need to smooth a little. I think what's going to happen is it's going to come out sort of here across this diagonal, because I think that's probably the most attractive place for it to come. And so what I want to do is I want to smooth out this area to the side ever so slightly. Get that like that. And block off the water, because the water's not going to work for me. And what I thought we'd do is not just do the theme build, but turn it into some kind of house. And if we turn it into an house, that means it's ever so slightly more practical, and maybe it's something that you'd like to have a go at. Now, in terms of the entrance to the house, I do have what appears to be a little cave, which I hadn't realised when I selected this whatsoever. So what I might need to do, where's me torches? What I might need to do here is just light this cave up, because I thought so, because there's going to be nasties lurking around in this cave, right? Oh, it comes out the other side. That's quite useful. So let's make that, and then it goes further down there. Of course it does. Right, so let's make that a lit up area. I'm just going to light it up. There's 3 zombies. I'll deal with the zombies in a minute. The advantage of being in creative, but I think that actually might come in handy as part of the build. So I need to think about how that's going to work, and then all I need to do is just take out a little bit more of this rock here. I'm not quite sure how it's going to start. Right, so what I first off need to do is I need to get rid of this water, because this water is just going to be in the way. So let's block that off. We don't want that water, and I reckon we're going to get rid of this water as well, because we don't want that either. And all that, is that another hole? Okay, all right, so we've got some potential. So I think actually I don't need to do an awful lot more. Let's get this flattened out here, and then we can basically crack on with what it is we're going to do. We're going to need some materials. So I'm making up the resources just a little bit here, to be honest with you. I might well not use all of this, and I might use some stuff that I've not got on it. But we've got some basic kind of greys and whites and a few kind of dark bits and pieces. I'm going to use sea lanterns and also magma blocks for some light. And I've got a bone block in there because it kind of makes sense for what it is I'm going to be doing. And then inside we've got stuff that you'd normally have in an house, and we'll lay that out right at the end. Now, because we are doing this as we go along, my first job is to kind of visualize where this thing is going to go. And if you see this kind of round outcrop bit here, I reckon that looks like a decent template for us to start with. Now, it might be out a little bit too far. We will know soon enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across, and I don't know if ever you do kind of pencil drawings when you kind of do an outline. You kind of work on what it looks like first in a pencil, and then you kind of rub bits out, and you come back and you do a little bit more, and then you rub some more out, and you do a little bit more, and then you rub some more out. And that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just going to look around. Where am I? Is that going to come out too far? Possibly. And we need to just carry on until such time as we've got a structure that we're happy with. Bear in mind that we're going to be looking at it from this direction. That's got to come out one step further, I reckon, and then probably just finish in there. So that's, how far out is that coming? Right, so we can build on that, that's fine. And then we're going to build kind of the dome of the head over the top as well. And again, we're going to do it exactly the same way. We're coming up, and we're going to create an arc that comes kind of across. But what we've got to do is we've got to make it come across to this side here, not across over the top in the direction it's going. So we've got to try and be a little bit more clever in the way that it comes up, because we're going to have to come up and then across one every now and again, and then come in, and then over, and then sort of come up a little bit like this until we come up a little bit more. So you can kind of see what I'm trying to achieve here. We're trying to get a bit of a domey shape, which is going to be the top of the head, but we've got to come diagonally. We've made our job a little bit more difficult by coming diagonal, I admit, but I think it will actually make it look a lot better in the end rather than being flat against the side of a mountain, which never ever looks quite right. Now I've not matched that up very well because I've come across too far here, and if I come across this way, I reckon we're going to be nearly there. Bear in mind, we're going to refine this. This is just a quick outline, so that needs to come up a little bit further there like that. Okay, so you can see what we're trying to achieve. It's sort of a slightly domed area there. This is going to be more or less where the eyes are, here and here, and the mouth will be below it, as when the nose will be below it as well. Well, what we're going to do first is we're going to do the eye sockets. Now, when we do, the reason we're going to do the eye sockets now is because what I don't want to do is end up running out of space at the sides and the eyes being way too big for the head. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the eyes, and that is going to make it dead easy for us to be able to work out where the head is going to be. So let's create eye sockets that are kind of this sort of size, up and around. It looks really messy right now. Bear with, it will work. Trust me on this. Well, I say trust me on this, it might not work. We'll have a go. Let's see what it looks like. So we're going to come around. How big is that eye socket? That is going to be too big. So just constant look backs just to check that we're on the right course. Like that, come down, and I think that might well do it. Okay, so take a step back. That is a little bit wonky, but it's sort of generally what it is we're looking for. Let's just try and refine it a little bit, and we'll have that refined that way as well. There we go. So that now is starting to look a little bit better. Let's put that in there. Now we know that eyes on a skeleton, and yes, obviously this is a skeleton, are relatively close together. So we're only going to have just a few blocks gap coming around this way, and we're going to do exactly the same thing coming around to try and create an eye that is around about the same sort of size, but we've not got that many blocks gap here. We've only got a 3 block gap. So if I just create a relatively square second orbital for that eye, and that's going to give us around about the same sort of size eye. Now we have to play this. This is not how it's going to look. This is not like some wonky eye from some deformed human that used to be a human. This is going to work, trust me. I've just got to make it rounder and play around with it, so don't panic about that. And then we're going to create the nose area around about the middle here. Now noses on skeletons are a little bit odd. They're just a hole, remember. So we're just going to create a pointy hole that comes up very nearly to the eye. It's going to come down. Let's get rid of that there. Come out there, there and down. So it's starting to form that hole there, and we come down a little bit further and across, down a little bit further and across. So that's obviously again not straight, so let's put another one there like that, and that becomes a little bit closer to what we're looking for. I'll put that there at the moment, and yeah, let's just lose that. I think that's probably about as good as we're going to get there. Let's get rid of that hole. Yeah, okay, so there's the hole for the nose. You can see it's just starting to take shape. And what I need to do is I need to texture this a little bit more and create kind of the outline, cheekbones and the bottom jaw. So the bottom jaw is going to come probably around about here. It comes under the nose, but not very far. So I'm just going to carry on doing that for a little bit, and I'll be back in a second. Right, so we have evened out the skull. It's still not quite right, but at least it is looking like it's starting to get there. The eyes are now slightly more central, and the nose is indented from the eyes, which is what a skull should look like. We've started to create the cheekbones, and the jawline is coming upwards rather than just rolling round the mouth, because that's not how jaws work at all, is it? And then what we need to do next is we need to bring down the other jaw. So just for the minute, I'm just using it as a guide. I'm going to bring it down here. It's not actually going to be this, but I'm going to come down and bring it out and around, so as it comes underneath this jaw here. We need to start thinking about where's it going to go, because I want the mouth to be fairly open, so we need to come out a little bit more this way first. Come out that way, down, down, across and in and up. So if we take a step back, so now we can see how that jaw is starting to look like it's going to be much more open than it was previously. And then we just keep coming across and around like this, and it should start to form a matching pair. I'm only going to come down one more. Oh no, it's too square. There we go. If we get rid of that, that comes there, and there. And that now is the kind of mouth that I'm starting to look for. So you can see that gap there is what's actually going to be open rather than closed. And then we can come down the same place on the other side. So you can see we're coming behind this where it's dropped down to. It's where it's dropped down to. So how far away did I come? I dropped down. So it was down and across one from that 2. So we're going to have to do just a little bit more terraforming. Down and across 1 from that 2. So I'm going to need to take out some of this rock here because it's going to be in the way. Right, so I'll carry on doing that. It's not tricky so much as it is. You just have to keep looking at exactly what it is you're looking at and check that you're not going too wrong. I'm going to need to take at least 1 row out of this rock here. The added challenge of it being diagonal means that you're constantly checking whether or not you've managed to get one of these things in the wrong place, which I have on a number of occasions so far. So let's just get those out of the way like that. So now I need to just check again. So it is as plain as I look at it like that, it comes across, down, and then the block. So in the plane as I look at it like that, across, down, and then the block. Yep. So how many down did I go? I want to try and match this as much as possible. So it was 4, then across 3, and then down 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then across 3, and then down 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there is the counting with Avo. It is always going to be there at some point. And then once you've gone down 5, you come across 1 and out 3 and down 3. Across 1, out 3, down 3. So I'm trying to mirror it. It doesn't match perfectly, but it is pretty close. Then I come in, do a little kind of L shape there. Come down. Is it down 1 from that? Yes, it is. Down 1 from that. I'm on the right plane now. Then come out 3, and then we're coming in there, there, and there. Okay, so there we go. We've got the open jaw bit. We're going to have a bottom jaw coming out below that, and I'll be back when we've done just a little bit more filling in. So this is where we are so far. You can see it's taken on a little bit more structure. The structure's still not exactly right, but we've got slightly more sinister looking eyes. The nose hole is a little bit better shape, and we've used birch wood blocks for teeth. It actually works really quite well for kind of teeth that are going just a little bit decayy. I quite like it. It looks all right. So now what I want to do is I want to use the same sort of principle. Where's the thing? To start to create what looks like hands coming around, because we don't just want a big old, what would you call that? A big old head, I guess you'd call that. We want something coming around here as well. And I sort of wanted skeletal fingers. So I don't know if this is going to work. So I'm just going to kind of come around here like that, and sort of it needs to come around further, like here. Maybe that far. So if that's, is that going to be about right in terms of size? Probably about right, actually. So if I then put another one here, like that. So I need to build these things up. I wonder if that one needs to be a little bit lower, actually, otherwise they're going to be too close to each other. Right, so let's bring this down 2 marks. There, it doesn't go quite as far around as the other one. There, like that. So yeah, so I think we're starting to get a bit of a hand. So again, how many blocks did I leave? That's 4 blocks there, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks up here. We can have this coming around this way as well. So this is the structure. It's starting to get there, I think. Yeah, so what I now need to do is, obviously I need to build up that hand a little bit more, make it a little bit more attractive. We need a 4th finger here, which would be a smaller finger. Let's have that there, like that, there and there. It won't be quite that much smaller though, would it? Avomance, come on, what are you doing? I reckon literally only just smaller, wouldn't it? So there's, okay, so that's all right. And then similarly on this side, we're going to have another set of hands, which are coming around this way, like that. And then 4 gap below that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this coming around there. Yep, okay, so we're sort of on a par. And hopefully you'll be able to see what it is I'm trying to do once I've got that bit done. So if we then have that bit, actually there, there, and there. Right, so no, that doesn't quite work. That finger needs to be straighter there, otherwise it's just not going to work. Like that. There. And maybe, are they too far apart? I think they're too far apart, aren't they? They need to come around here. Right, so let's just do that quickly. Just get rid of these. I'll probably end up putting these back as I put the finger structures in, but I think what we're getting there is something that starts to look a little bit more hand-like. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then we can have the little finger coming around here like that and that. Okay, so let's just come back and check that out. So we obviously need to put thumbs in, but I reckon from a finger's perspective, that don't look too shabby, actually, except that one's too close. I've done that too close. Oh, I need to put it way too close, in fact. 1, 2, 3. Put that like that. There. No, not there. There, and there. There we go. So I'm just going to take a step back, take a look at this, and how does that look? Right, so if we come over here, so you can kind of see what it is I'm trying to do. We're going to have a hand there, the head there, and we're going to use some of these different colours. So we've got clay, we've got some dead coral, which actually makes a really, really nice texture. We've got stone, we've got different coloured powders and concretes and whatnots, and obviously the bone block. And we're going to see whether or not we can't make this look a little bit more fancy. So here's where it gets just a little bit trial and error. We've got to try and make it so as we don't overdo some of this detailing, but there's enough detailing to actually make a difference. And it's actually a lot harder than you think when you actually start playing around with it. You've got to start getting some of this detail onto, see, that looks a little bit daft, doesn't it there? Not entirely convinced about that one. Get rid of that slab. Get rid of that and get rid of that. So we're just trying to get a little bit more detail. You can see the eyes have just been slightly darkened to get that inset just a little bit like that. But then we need to do also a little bit around maybe here, a little bit on the mouth just to make it so is it just bring it out. It's just a little too flat, so you just have to keep putting stuff on, putting yourself out, going back in again, putting in another little block here and one there and one there, and just start to block some stuff in. It's a little bit too regular for me at the moment. See, that doesn't quite work yet, but if we start to bring in some other kind of really dark colours, so I've got this this is a black coal block here, so if I bring that in like that, how does that work when we start to, can you see how now all of a sudden this black starts to bring out and pronounce a little bit more of the colour. You don't want too much, you just want a little bit, but if you bring it out to the side here, there and there, just want to put that back in there and put that like that there. No, come on, shoot for the moon. There we go. So we're coming in, so you can see all of a sudden now those eyes are starting to pop just that little bit more. However, that isn't quite right there, is it? That's not, let's get rid of that. I think that needs to be physically in that bit. Is that better? I think that might be better. Okay, so what we're going to do also with these joints, we need to know whether or not we're going to be putting in some joints like this. Look, so okay, so that might just work. So if I get that and that out, there and there, so what we're going to do is just trial and error in this just to see what's working and what isn't, but we need to differentiate between some of these bones. So if we come back out, remember we're looking at this from a distance, you can see that actually looks like there's some jointage going on. So I'm just going to carry on doing this, put a little bit more detail into it, and then we'll start doing some more kind of exciting stuff that's going to make it properly pop. Okay, so we've brought a little bit of extra detail in. I don't know if we're going to keep it this way, but the black adds a little bit more accent. We've got some clay in there, we've got some bone blocks in there, giving it just a little bit of change of detail. The fingers are more or less done, I think. That's gripping okay onto the rock as it kind of emerges from inside the rock, which I think is quite a nice little effect. We've got a little bit of the hand already showing there, in that it's, you know, white at the end of the fingers, but these fingers have basically only just, what's that doing there? Get rid of that. These fingers have only just come through the rocks. There's no hand to show. So now I'm thinking about how are we going to enter this house. We've got a few choices, and I wonder whether or not it might be fun to do something that looks a little bit like a spinal cord coming down to the bottom there, and inside that is kind of the entrance. But I think it works quite well. So let's, using some bone block, let's come into this corner here, and let's just get ourselves a bone block spine. Pretty gross when you think about it. Come and get this all out of the way until, so getting all the way to the top like that. Okay, so we've got an entrance, potential entrance way just there. So how are we going to do this? We want to have some kind of spinal cord that looks like a spinal cord. Now obviously it needs to be a lot bigger than that, because that is entirely out of proportion. So I reckon we need to come out 2, so maybe 1 2 1 2 1 2. How about that for proportionals? Now even that's way too small, isn't it? So let's come out another 2, 1 2 1 2 3 4, and 1 2 3 4. So that's effectively the size of it there. That is more like it, I think. So if we just towel this up just again to give ourselves the basic structure. Come on, fly man, fly, you're in creative. And that goes up to the top like that. Is that around? I think that's around about right, you know, actually. So let's come out this one as well. All the way to the top. And this one here. All the way to the top. Right, so that gives us... Yeah, I think that's the right sort of size. We now need to kind of work out how are we going to make this look like some kind of spinal cord. We're going to get rid of these, they're in the way. We need to come... And where's the door going to be more specifically? We need a door, for goodness sake, man. There we go, let's get a door in there. Let's get these out of the way for the moment. So these are... I've had an idea. We're going to make a bone floor all the way like this. Okay, so that's the bone floor. If we make this, I reckon we make this all the way to the top like that. That's one side, and if we make this too high like that, we can have exactly the same there. We need to make this detailed. I'm just going to leave it as solid blocks like this. It doesn't look quite right, but we can do something there in a moment. But you can see what I've tried to achieve there. Actually, I'm going to take out this front one. It is not necessary. Makes it too pointy. And you know what we could do? We could have... Right, so if we have one there, then one, two, one there, one, two, one there, one, two, one there is right, one, two, one there. How does that look? Okay, so we're starting to get an idea of what I think we could do here. If I come out like that there, 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 do the same, that would be there, there, how is that? Now that is starting to look just a little bit fancy. I think we're starting to make some progress. Alright, so inside here I think we can actually make a really clever little entrance. So first things first, let's just put some light on the subject because that is not what we want. I might make this all bone actually. So if we make this all bone, that would look quite cool then, wouldn't it? And then you're going up the inside of the spine. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this and make this all bone, and I'll be back in a minute. Right, so I now think that neck looks absolutely spot on. If we look at it from this angle, it's really well coordinated. But what's it good for if it is not going to let us in? Well, it's just done a bit of tidying up of the floor as well. So what is it good for if it doesn't let us in? So inside, we have created some ways to get where we want to go. So we're going to go up first. There we go, into our first living area. Well, it's not living area yet, but it will be. And then if we want to go down, we just jump and we fall in the water and we are there. So that is the kind of entrance and exit. I'm completely ignoring the caves that I mentioned at the beginning because I don't think they are particularly useful in this build. It might be that we could do something with them as an aside, but right now we're not. Now what we need to do is we need to go back inside because we need to get the innards done. This is, as I said at the beginning, this is an house, and if it's an house we need to be able to live in it, and at the minute can we live in this? I would argue no. So we're going to get rid of a lot of this. So this is all smooth quartz here. We're going to get rid of all of this wallage and try and create some kind of interior. And if we can have a decent interior, then we can have a decent house. It's not going to be a massive house, especially given the size of the head that we've got outside. But it's going to be an okay size house. It's going to be big enough for us to do everything we need to do. So I'm just going to clear some room first and then make basically the internal space, because I think the internal space is what's going to be key for this. I'll be back when I've done that. So we have got our skeleton's head with its claws, and inside we have set up the house ready to put house stuffs in. So it's not got anything in it yet. So we're just going to go up and into the first level. So this is the first level, all very quartzy. I wanted it to be inside white, so as it looked like it was actually inside the head of the skeleton, which sounds a bit gross really, doesn't it? But there we go. So we're inside the head of the skeleton. We are coming up. We can see out of the mouth area going that way. Come back down another platform and back down, and then we can go up the stairs all the way up through this hole and onto the second level. And this level is literally open. You can just look out of the nose of the skeleton, which is, hang on, let's just look out the nose. This is me looking out of the nose of a skeleton. And there we go. And then we can go up to the very top floor, and we can have, this bit's a little bit more cavey because I think it needs to be. It's all very good. We're going to put just a little bit more white behind here, because we're actually looking for white behind it for a reason. We're going to make it a little bit shiny behind. Let's get this up here like that. There, like that. Okay, so that's, oh, I missed some. Let's not miss them. There we go. And we can show just a bit in there to get that done. Because here we've got two kind of beacon things that we're going to light. So we've got one there and we've got one there, and that is going to be behind the eyes of the skeleton. I might want to block that bit off. If this was a true house, you'd want to block this bit up, or at least light it up. Let's light this up a little bit so as we don't get any nasties coming up here, because this is a prime spawning area for nasties all up and around here, that's for sure. Let's get that nicely lit, so not going to have any nasties in there now. So now we're going to have a look at what the place looks like. Just finish off the floor. What the place looks like from the outside. So we're just going to go down and down this ladder as well. Loving the ladders. There we go. Down there, and then we're going to come into our hole. Drop. We're going to come out of there. We're going to run away. We're going to fly away, and we're going to turn around and we're going to look to see what it looks like. And there we can see the fire in the eyes of that skeleton, looking very, very menacing indeed. So all we need to do is get that house all sorted. So we've added just a little friend for our skeleton. We've got a little pumpkin in the front there, so as he's got, I don't know, someone to talk to at night time. We're going to check him out at night just in a moment. But inside, we're going to go in again. Yes, we are. We're going to get inside here. We're going to go up our elevator again with our soul sand. And we have got a nicely furnished area. We've got somewhere to sit. We've got nice pictures. We've got enchanting. Up here, we have more seating and some furnaces. Over here, we've got our little bedroom with somewhere to sit, which is very nice. Thank you very much. And we've got up here, so you're going past the skeleton's head picture, obviously very relevant inside the skeleton's head. We've got more skeleton pictures here, loving the skeletons. And then up here, we've got where the eyes are. I've not done anything extra there. So that's quite nice. We've got potions. It's all good. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a look and see what this fella looks like at night time, because we all know night time is when the skellies come out. Happy Halloween, and there is our spooky house with the spooky, I don't know, you could call it a spooky garage, like a pumpkin garage, but it's the spooky house with the moon rising above the hillside behind it. I think that turned out all right. That looks pretty effective. I'm very happy. Looks good in the night time, looks pretty good in the daytime as well. I love the fire in the eyes. I love the fact that the light inside means the entire thing glows. It is a decent piece of work, and I hope you have enjoyed it. One skeleton house. I think it turned out okay. If you've enjoyed the video, please do let me know by slapping that like button. It'd be great to know you've enjoyed it, and maybe I'll make more of these really weird themed houses in the future. And also, if you've not done it already, please do hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to see you in my sub club, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.